the next Zentangle design that we're going to learn is going to be, we're going to start with squares. We're just going to do probably 4x4 again, maybe 3x4, we'll see. So start off with some squares. We don't want to make them too small, but we don't want to make them too big. Space them out about like so, almost where you have 2 squares in between. And again, don't worry about your mistakes. A lot of times they'll get hidden in the design. What I'm noticing is that my upper layer of squares seem to be slightly smaller than my lower layer of squares. And that's okay. No big deal. Remember, we're just practicing. This is the first time I've done this in almost a year, so it takes a minute for things to come back. Okay, so we got 4 rows of 4, or 4 columns of 4, either way. What we're going to do is we're going to put our pencil on the bottom right-hand corner of this square. Bottom right-hand corner of this square, and we're going to aim for the top left of the bottom square. Okay, so I'm going to just drag it down and connect. I don't want to make a straight line. I want it to kind of drop a little bit first and then curve over. So I want it to be like a really, I don't know, really flat S or something, but I want it to have a slight curve. Nothing straight, so straight down, kind of over and curve. Okay, I'm gonna do that all the way around. So remember, it's the bottom right going to the upper left. Bottom right, upper left. And if you don't space these even, you'll get some that are longer lines than others, and it can look kind of wonky. So again, you want to make sure you're confident where you're putting your squares when you're doing this for real, especially when you get into the pen. All right, now I'm going to turn my paper sideways. This just helps. And I'm going to do the same thing. Bottom right, upper left. Drop down and over. Don't worry about the other lines that are there. Don't focus on those. You want to just worry about this drop down and over. You see we're getting kind of like a star shape there. Okay. So now is where we can start putting in the design. And there's a lot of different avenues we can go with the design, different lines that we can put. So what I'm going to do is, and you can make a pattern out of this. They don't have to all be the same, or they could all be the same. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put another star inside. Okay, maybe the next one gets the same thing, but then maybe this one I do another one. Okay. And then I'm going to rotate. And maybe this one gets the 2. And this one only gets the 1. Okay, see how that's working? So just create a pattern of some sort. Okay, and then in here, these little squares, like maybe I put another square inside there. Maybe I fill this one in. maybe on the inside, on these guys, I fill in the inside shape. I don't have to. You don't have to. You can do something different. I'm trying to show you a bunch of different things that you can do, and then just create a pattern out of it. And again, the filling in portion would not be done with pencil. You'd fill in with the pen when we're using pen. So then whatever pattern you want to choose, whatever you want to do to this, it'll bring out more of the design if you add more contrast. Again, contrast, having the dark darks with the light lights. Just pick a design and go with it. I mean, there's so many different things that you could do with this. You know, just go crazy. Do something different. Maybe this is colored in, and then this is colored in or filled in, and maybe I do two more in here and I fill in this middle guy, and then I alternate that pattern. So it doesn't really matter. There's so many different avenues that you can take with this. This one is called the Cadent, C-A-D-E-N-T. Okay. All right. Next one. Next one, we're going to do a lot of lines again, sweeping down from the top. Try and make them as parallel as you can. Okay. And then we've got to cross those as well. Okay. So I've got, again, kind of that pattern, quilt pattern. So what we need to do now is we're going to actually go in we're going to pick a corner, the right corner, and we're going to draw a square. Some of you are going to have a hard time visualizing this, and you're going to end up making it come down, or I've seen some weird things. But you need to try and make this into a square. So look, see how it's a square? So if you need to turn your paper this way, great. Do that. If this is confusing, then rotate your paper. So we need a square in each one of these on the right hand side. Remember, you're not going to see all of them. We've got to act like this is going off. So I'm not going to see one here. I'm not going to see one here. I will see one here. I don't think I'm going to see one there, so I'm not going to do one. There's not one. And maybe I'll see this. I'll go with that. Okay, I think I got them all. All right, from here, what we need to do is we need to draw a line from this corner to that corner. Straight line. See, like this one I had to draw, I didn't have anything to draw to, but I have to guesstimate. It's roughly right there. Okay. Then what we need to do is fill in our squares. So fill this in. All right, so we fill these in. All these guys get filled in. And then what we do after that, after all the little squares are filled in, you're gonna lightly shade the upper portion of this big square. So you're not gonna touch this one, you're just going to shade this lightly. And this will start to act like or look like something's going in, like this is a box of some sort, a bunch of boxes next to each other, or kind of like a crate that holds things, tunnels, whatever you want to imagine this looks like, but it's meant to take on that look of depth. Something's going in. Like you can actually set something inside of these things, shelves almost. So that's what you do. Fill these in. These should all be black, and then these should be gray. These should be white. And go through, and you'll see what that looks like at the end. But you can make these boxes bigger. These squares can be bigger. I wouldn't go too much smaller because it'll take on kind of a different look. Some people actually look at this as the top of something going down, and then the top and going down, almost like a bunch of pyramids have been chopped off at the top, and it's just a bunch of them right next to each other, almost like a soundproofing material. Looks kind of spiky almost. So go through, do that one. This one is called the Cubine, so I'm going to put it right here, Cubine. Next one, we're going to start off with dots. So we're just going to put some random dots down. So just make some dots, space them out a little bit. Don't get them too close to each other. All right, I've got 4, 8, I got 10 dots. So I would do between 9 and 12 dots. And then basically what we're going to do is kind of connect the dots, but in a strategic manner. So there's one line. I'm going to connect those 2 points together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to aim a bunch of lines going towards this line. So I'm going to bring this in, and then I'm going to bring this in, but I'm going to continue to make lines up, like maybe 3 or 4. However many I think I can fit. So 3 inside. So I've got 5 total on this side. So I've got those lines going this way. Then I'm going to connect this to this. And I don't want to go from the same point. I just went from here to there. I don't want to do that to this. I don't want to leave from the same point I just did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave from this point and come in and hit that wall. Okay. So now they're like facing each other like this. We don't want them all to be out in the same direction. This is going to be facing this direction, okay? So then we choose another one. Go to another dot, and then again, I don't want to go from here. I just did that, so I'm going to go from here. And we got those. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this line. I'm going to see what happens here. What I could do is I could come from out here. It kind of look like a bow tie to me, which it might still look like a bow tie. We'll see. And I'm going to take this up to here. Okay, and then I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to take this one into that one. Okay, and I'm going to skip these two that I had. Actually, I'm not going to skip them. I'm going to make this line. All right, and so to end this, I'm going to choose either I'm going to go one direction here, or I'm going to go both directions or the other direction. Since I have one outlier sitting here, I can choose to go any which way I want, which I think what I'm going to do is this. And I'm going to go, remember, I'm going to go towards this wall. I'm not going to go out from this direction. I already went out from that direction, so I'm going to go towards that wall. Okay, and I can still choose to close this one. I can choose to close this one. I can even put lines in here if I wanted to, but I kind of like the idea of leaving that open. I can close this as well. I can add another dot if I like. So you can put this as far out as you want. I'm going to close this one. And then I'm going to go away. See, both of these are going this way. So I'm going to go this way. Yeah. So that's about it. And this one is called the Munchin. I don't want it to be completely circular, right? I want it to be a circle, but I don't care if it's not perfect. So on an organic one, I'm just kind of making it a little oblong, right? So kind of looks like the outside of an egg. After you've cracked the egg open, it's in the pan. The yolk would be in the middle, and actually we're going to draw the yolk right now. A little bit of a wobbly yolk. Okay. Or we can consider this an oblong donut. Because what we have to do now is we have to take one line from here, and we're going to go towards the outside edge. When we get close to the outside edge, we're going to drop it down. Okay, see that little hook at the end? So over and then down. And then we're going to add a line with that. And we're going to start really close to this one, but we're going to end a little further out. And we're still going to drop it down. So we're going to try and stay parallel to that, right? So then this one, and then drop down. Doesn't have to be a big drop, but it needs to be a drop nonetheless. Some sort of a curve, as we're going to try and make this thing look like it's curved, like it's dimensional. This one I'm going to take out. Oops, I got something under my paper. This one I'm going to take out and then drop down this way. Okay, so I've got 3 stripes there. And actually, I should have dropped this one down the other way, but it's okay. I'm gonna correct my mistake here, because it all depends on which way you're looking at it and where that's kind of a bad line too. It's okay. I can fix this portion later because I'm gonna be filling it in. It's okay if we mess up. Okay. And then you got to remember which lines you were partners with, right? So you got to make sure like this is not the line to fill in. We want to fill in this line because we made these close together. Okay. Again, this would normally be done with pen, but we're just going to fill it in with pencil for now, just to get used to this technique. And then what we're going to do is shade the other one. So it's going to be every other one. So we're going to fill this one in, and then we're going to shade the other one. So we're going to go from dark up to light. Take your time. The reason we're going from dark to light is so we can create the illusion of something round, create some depth. So we went from dark to light, and then I'm going to go on the outside and go dark again and come to light, and that'll make it look round, like it actually has some dimension. It's best to do this with an HB pencil. I've got a 2B, and that's okay, that'll work, but you want to be careful you're not too light, you want to be careful you're not too dark. And this is the time when you're filling in, because you don't want to shade everything until all your black lines are filled in. But when you're filling in the black lines, it's a good time to make any corrections. You can fill in more if you need to fill in more. Because remember, when you're doing this with a pen, you can't erase anything. So my mistake here, I'm going to go over here and fill this one in. And I'm going to fix my mistake by just going over that area here. Again, I wish I would have taken this one off to the other side just because of the way we're looking at it, but oh well, no big deal. This circle in the middle could be smaller too, and also when you're doing Zentangle, there's no wasted space, especially when you're inside of another one. What you could do with this one is you could turn this into another small design like this, or you can go back in and add in like the Munchin that we just learned. We can go back in and add the cadet, whatever technique that you want, you fill that space. All mine won't be filled in, yours will. But this is, I'm just trying to give you an idea on how all these function. Yeah. See how that starts to make it look round? It looks better when you have pen because there's more contrast going on. Yeah, so this one is called, you keep going, you know, finish this, but this one is called the pepper. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is if we were doing our test, or our, not test, but our our rough draft. This is where we're gonna put our rough draft. Or this is where I'm gonna put mine. You guys will get a small sheet of paper to practice on, well, my students will get a small sheet of paper, 3.5 by 3.5 to practice on, to get comfortable with just using that small sheet of paper as well to turn it and all that. So if I need to divide this up, and then I need to put 3 or 4 of my favorite designs or Zentangles inside this design, okay? There's a number of different ways, and maybe I'll show you 2 different ways to divide up, but I want you guys to think on your own as well. I want you to be creative. I know you can do it. So in this one, what I'm gonna do is okay, so I've got something like that. So I can put a technique in the background. I can put a technique in here, so that's 2, and I could put a 3rd and a 4th in here, or I could put just my 3rd one in both of these, okay? So this is one way of dividing my paper up. Another way is to just do an organic shape. So just doing something that's going to end up crisscrossing at some point, but we don't want to get too scribbly because we don't want to divide the paper too many times. Okay, so just thinking organically. And then I'll take this off this way. Okay, so if we look at this, I've got 1 in the background up here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we can choose to make this and this. So this whole area is 1 with this. So because I didn't hit the line here anyways, so this could end up being the background. That's 1, and this can be 2, 3, 4, or this can be both be 2 and then 3. So there's a couple different ways you can divide this up to fill your space. We don't want to get too small, like here and this one. They're pretty small, so we want to try to avoid really small ones, because looking back at our techniques, there's not too many that we would want to make small in there. So we have to be careful with that, and that's why we're going to practice with pencil first. And you'll have these 2 left over so you can practice on this, and then you'll have your practice card, your rough draft paper. So you'll have a chance to try and figure it out, right? But remember, we only need to divide our paper at minimum 3 times, maximum 4 times. I mean, you can divide more, but then you just have to tie in more pieces. All right. The one tip I'm going to give you on doing your final when we have to combine a bunch is a lot of people, when they get close to an edge, they start to shrink things down. And we don't want to shrink things down and try and squeeze them. We want it to look like it's completely the same size all the way across, okay? And so let me give you an example of that. Let's do this one. I believe this is the fife. Yeah, so this, I'm gonna do the fife real quick on the inside. So I wanna keep this straight across. Everything needs to be straight, and I'm not gonna make everything too small, just because I have a small space. I still wanna keep things in line. But remember, I have to fill every square inch. So this one would be right here. So I can't draw this one, okay? This one I can draw. Okay, I could probably get this one in. The other one would be about here, but all of our lines are gonna have to go somewhere. So let's see how I do this so you can know I'm not trying to squeeze anything in, right? But I'm still gonna fill the area. I'm not gonna squeeze everything in. I'm not gonna draw everything. I'm just going to show you how I avoid the squeeze and shrink. Okay, so if I have another dot down here that's off outside of this wall, what I'm going to do is act like it's still there. And I'm just not going to end up pointing it. See, I don't come to a point. I'm acting like my point is further down. Same with this. I'm not going to close it. It looks like it's still going. It's being hidden behind this wall, right? Or it almost looks like we're creating a window and we can only see so much. Same thing here. We're going to go up. We're going to go up. See, that gets really close to closing in. See, and that's it. I can't do any more. Well, I can do this one. And that's it for that way. So now going sideways. I have to imagine that there's another one about right here. This one, probably see the tail end of this one. Again, I don't want to close it. I don't want to close it just because I know it should be ending. See how I drew that right there? I can still see that I've got the shape that I need. Okay, so again, I'm not going to show you all the different insides just because it doesn't matter. I wanted to show you that you can, without squeezing anything, because some people like this one, okay? Look how small this one is and compare it to this one. This person did go off the page, which is good, but a lot of people had an issue with that. This is too small to fit into this area. This was done even a little too small, and this is done in pencil, or this dark area should be in pen. This is cramped. It's too cramped. So again, learn from this person's mistakes so that way yours can be nice and clean and full background like this, right? So as you can see, I went off the page everywhere. I went off the page here, so nothing's cramped in here. This is where your imagination has to come in. And as you're making your shapes, you have to imagine that it's behind the scene and that it continues to go. Don't try and cram it in. Too many times with the pinochle, I've seen kids do this where they're making they have their big S here, and then they see their space shrinking and they start to make their S's smaller. And if they go this way, it doesn't connect, this way, and then they start to they're like, okay, I gotta go sideways because I've got this thing right here. And then they start to go sideways too much. And like they're going too small and they're trying to cram things in. And we don't wanna do that. So this is what a not to do. Okay, don't do that. All right, and that's it. That's Zentangle. Thank you for watching and good luck.